What's up, podheads and political junkies? You're watching Cannabis Culture News Live. I'm Jeremiah, editor of Cannabis Culture. I'm here with Mark Klokeid.
Thanks for having me.
Kush.ca Mark. He's going to be riding with me the whole time. And Mark, you got some in your hand right now. We got to talk about this immediately because it's just so damn good. I wish we could have the people out there smell this.
I was just going to say, talking about it's one thing, but to smell it's another.
We need smell-o-vision.
The name's Chocolope. It's only at iMedikate 1, and it really is a smell.
It seriously smells
experience.
Just like chocolate, and it's, I swear it's treated with something. It smells like coffee. Chocolate coffee. Take a peek here. Let's take the butt out of the plastic there.
What really carries
Take a big sniff.
It is the flavor.
It's amazing. And you brought all kinds of stuff for us today, didn't you?
Yeah, we got some popcorn, caramel popcorn, really popular.
Nice.
Brownies, the Viper brownies.
Awesome.
Nicely dosed out. And we even got some Remarkable Mark edibles.
Nice.
Very popular also.
And so, Mark, we're going to talk, the reason you came on the show a couple weeks ago, we had you on by phone. After your iMedikate dispensary, your second location that you've opened was the first Vancouver medical marijuana dispensary rated in history.
Something I did not want to be known for.
No kidding. No shit.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe my videos, maybe the community around it, maybe a hater in the community, who knows, but according to the police, there was community complaints, and they say it's an ongoing investigation and executed a warrant. There's been no charges, and there's a whole list of different reasons it could have happened. As of now, we're going to reopen, and we're just, warming the landlord up to the idea. The cops threatened her and said that, we were doing illegal things and a lot of hearsay, and told her to change the lock. So, but other than that, I mean...
So you guys are closed right now, but you're going to be opening soon, and we're going to show the audience a picture of what they did to the safe in there and some of the damage they did. But
took the medicine.
Took the medicine. I was going to say, they took some of this stuff. You guys had this for sale there and other things,
yeah,
right?
Edibles, candy, ice cream. The other thing is there's employees that work there. We do hire disabled people or people on disability to work there. So Cassie, I know you know her.
Yeah, Cassie, friend of the store.
She has cerebral palsy and is in a wheelchair. She's also deaf and mute. Really had a place in the community at the dispensary, and that's what people don't understand that dispensaries function as. Yes, we do dispense cannabis, but it's a place for people to go and get advice from other patients and relate to other patients and have a place to go every day.
Yeah.
So that's what people don't realize is lost when they shut down a place like that. We really did serve the community, with a really big variety of people.
Mark, as I just have to quickly go check on one little thing, I just want to make sure another interview that I did is going to be okay. Show off some of the stuff and explain what else you guys did at your dispensary there.
All right, so
a little bit of the history of iMedikate.
All right, well, this is the caramel corn and popcorn. It's really potent. You only need a couple handfuls. It's $5 a bag. iMedikate basically made its name with having a doctor available for diagnosis, making it easier for patients to access our services. A lot of doctors are not down with marijuana, so it's hard to convince them even to talk about it, let alone agree with it as a medicine. And after I had cancer, I realized that access through the federal system is just not swift enough. If you got to start chemo 2 or 3 days after your diagnosis, then how are you going to wait 8 weeks for a license to come in the mail, grow your weed, or buy it from the government, and get your medicine? It's just not quick enough. So I think that's the role that dispensaries play, and not only me, but other dispensaries play a vital role to sick people that need to access it in a swift manner. So that's basically how iMedikate started and the reason I do it. We operate as a non-profit. We purchase off of other medical marijuana growers such as myself that dispose of their excess amount to recover some of the costs for them growing for themselves. So it's kind of like a farmer's market. We mark it up $1 to $3, and that's how we operate. We operate on that $1 to $3. So the staff get paid, we got to pay the rent, and that's pretty much how it works. So, we have a real variety of medicine because of that system, and it's really what iMedikate's about. So, yeah.
Oh, man. And so this is the second location. When did the first location open up?
It opened up in October of 2010, would it be? Yeah,
right, 2010.
And then this one opened up not more than, it was around the end of September of 2011.
Right.
So maybe 4 or 5 months it was open. So there is a private Catholic school across the street, but the thing is what people don't understand is there was the investigation into the robbery at iMedikate.
Right.
So I was in contact because of the robbery with the
Talk about what happened
police.
in the robbery.
Well, there's a gunman came in with 2 or 3 other accomplices. There's a video online. You can see it's on kush.ca.
Yeah. I linked to it on the front page of Cannabis Culture in that article I wrote about iMedikate.
Also, but anyways, they came in. They tried to strap my staff, and there was staff in the back that seen on the cameras that there was a robbery. One of the staff also yelled, and they exited through the back and flanked the front. And 2 of the accomplices went into the back to try and go raid the lock safe. Everything was locked up, and the place was closed and alarmed. One of my staff, while the gunman was distracted, attacked the gunman and wrestled the gun from him, also ripping off his mask and getting the gun from him. And the other 2 female staff, was actually one girl driving the secretary home, exited through the front, and the other guy's accomplices ran for obvious reasons.
Right. Well, the video is crazy because it just shows everything that was going on. Like, these guys are nuts. Do you know who these guys were at all?
No, I mean, there was suspects of people that had acted, improper and asked to have their records erased and so on and so forth. And, I mean, I kept all this quiet because I was working with the police and it was an investigation, of course, right?
Right.
And, but anyway, so they went and questioned individuals, prior members and stuff like that may have been suspects. And the officer told me, the detective said that, we have DNA off of the tube that was removed from the gunman's head and then the gun, and that they're going to be running it. So a week before the dispensary at iMedikate 2 had the warrant served on it, I got a call from the detective, and she said that they'd got a DNA match, but it wasn't the suspects that they'd been questioning. So for me, I think the timing is really weird too. What if one of these individuals that were maybe not the right suspect, who knows, could have filed a complaint? You know what I mean? Saying that they think illegal activity is. To file a complaint to get a warrant, you have to basically be a witness saying that you witnessed some sort of illegal activity. Right. If someone from my staff had sold the cat, the box. The cat loves to join the show always. But anyways, if say undercover came in with false papers, fake papers, that's entrapment. So that's one thing that probably didn't happen. Right. Number 2 is if we were serving a non-member, then that just doesn't happen. We ask for picture ID. They got to have, they got to
go jump through the hoops.
Right, and that would also be an informant. So we would have gotten charges right away. Right. So
now they did say that they were charging the manager with trafficking, or they said you're under arrest for trafficking. And we know that in order to actually arrest somebody for trafficking, they have to have proof that there was actually a transfer made. So they'd have to be undercover, or it would be with intent to traffic, because they wouldn't actually see it happening, right? Yeah. So, but that may have been just bullshit. They could have just said whatever they wanted, arrested her, and then unarrested her.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is that the detective investigating the robbery and the drug squad that executed the warrant are 2 separate entities in the police force. And they really, the drug squad's the one that would execute the warrant for Mark Embry's warrant. Right. It's a totally different crew of cronies that have this own drug mentality of, all drugs are bad, including marijuana. And that's they have to present themselves this way. Yeah. So, and I mean, what people realize is that I made all these crazy videos. Before I started the dispensaries, I was an activist. I pushed patient rights. I normalized what I did. I had the big bags of weed. I'm legally allowed to carry 600 grams of weed. I wanted that big bag out there to show people that it's normal, it's okay, that I'm not doing anything illegal, that there is a legal way to possess and use cannabis, and they couldn't do anything about it. Exactly. That pisses the police off, or the people that are against legalization of marijuana, and also I've been pulled over with marijuana and had my weed taken away, and that's like police officers, and it's nothing against them. It's the fact that they're not educated enough. They don't know about the program, that there's not a swift enough way for them to access to identify if a patient's a patient. So they can't just call Health Canada and be like, is this person allowed to possess? They have to call, wait for the people to call back.
Well, and look what they did. This was that drug squad.
Oh my God, this is the first time I've seen this.
That's the first time you've seen it?
It really upsets me.
Check out the safe here. I can't really see how that looks, but yeah. That's what they did to the safe for really no reason, because when they first came in, they asked the manager for the keys, and they took the keys.
My mom, she was
Your
opening
mom.
up.
Exactly.
So
she's a 60-year-old lady.
Just came in, Never been charged with anything. My dad's an ex-police officer. He's a police officer in the 70s, so it was a lot different back then in Calgary.
Yeah.
But we came, you know, I grew up with, you know, my parents were actually pretty strict about drug use and marijuana as a whole. And after I went through cancer, my mom and my father seen that how marijuana is a medicine.
Yeah.
And totally did a transformation. And my mom just wanted to help people in this, and it was just, you know, they came in and said that we're executing a warrant. And that was it. You know, they didn't ask her for codes to open up the safe or the safe key or anything like that.
Right. No, and they didn't. Yeah, exactly. They didn't ask at all, and then later that same day they busted it down.
Yeah, and I also had a separate office with separate entrance, separate exit, separate lease for doing Kush headquarters there.
Right.
To do a lot of my planning for my expo and stuff like that too.
Upstairs,
also.
right?
Basically an office, right?
Yeah.
A small place. They kicked in the doors there with no warrant there. I read the warrant. It's only said to do downstairs, right? So, I mean, clearly, regardless, they didn't do it in a compassionate manner.
No.
They did it to like I'm a criminal, or like I'm profiting, or like I own mansions.
And it's
or
a
something
non-profit
like
society. That safe they destroyed that cost you guys what, $1,500 to $2,000.
Yeah, we got a good deal on it from
Yeah.
Simeon Safes. They're amazing. They're out in Surrey if you ever need a good safe.
But still, it costs money, and for them to just destroy this and then say, "Well, fuck you guys,"
and take all the medicine out of there.
Right.
All right. So and the bombs and the glass that was there.
How much medicine was there? What was it all worth total?
About $30,000, I'd say in total.
30,000. Wow.
Yeah, I'd
So,
say in
wow.
total.
And have you just what
There's
does your lawyer
300
say about it?
patients.
You have a lawyer now, right?
Yeah. I have a lawyer, Philip Riddell. So basically, we're gonna get the warrant open is one thing, and push the police to tell us what they take. It's called it a 5.1.
Yeah.
And we're gonna reopen. There's been no charges, so we're totally okay to open. You know, I really wished if it was the community, like the school or something like that, that they just contacted us, which leads me to believe there wasn't. I don't think it's the businesses. I was friends with everyone at the businesses and have had members from the other businesses sign up.
Right.
So, I mean, if you got something wrong with iMedikate or me, don't post anonymous comments. I think it's good to have an open rapport. Say it to my face. Give me an email. Don't do this anonymous stuff. It doesn't work to have a constructive rapport with anyone. You need to be able to fix things. You need to be able to talk about it.
Right. Absolutely, man. Well, and of course, if all right, are we back? Internet problems.
Woo,
That's what we were talking about. Stephen Harper's pressing the big red button.
Or it's the sunstorm that they're saying, eh?
Yes.
Whoa, the sunstorm, man.
Any problem that I have from now on is being blamed on solar flares.
And Harper.
Yeah, Harper and solar flares.
He caused the solar flare.
Is it working right? We're all good?
We're back. Yeah, we're
Nice.
back.
All right, well now, at the beginning of the show, I forgot to tell you guys what else was happening on the show today. Activist David Malmo-Levine will probably pop by with an artifact from the Herb Museum upstairs. We got Mark Klokeid on, and we also have Dan Werb of the International Center for Science and Drug Policy, and he's part of the group Stop the Violence BC. I did a 20-minute interview with him before the show. It's recorded. I'll play that recording. We're talking about the passage of C10 next week. And
Ooh, chills up my spine.
you know, it would have been passed already if it wasn't for some crafty work by our federal NDP who managed to filibuster, basically, procedural stuff that they managed to squeeze in there and push the vote to next week. So we can expect a day of debates in the House on Monday and either a passage that night or a passage on Tuesday, unless we can convince the Conservatives to say no. Just say no to the drug bill.
Is there any protest planned that you've heard of?
Well, I'm sure there's going to be a protest at some point next week. I haven't actually heard of anything planned yet, because we don't even really know when it's going to pass or what's passed. But if you do want to have a last-minute dash to try and stop these MPs, and I don't know, it might be just a waste of time, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to go down the list this weekend. I'm going to be calling and leaving messages for MPs at their offices telling them how disgusted I am with this bill, how it's going to hurt Canadians, how it's not going to make our streets any safer.
It's going to cost us. Putting people in jail just costs taxpayers money. That's like not a good
Stephen
tactic.
Harper and this government are really psychos. They're psychotic to do this. Every international group, every scientist that they talk to says, don't do mandatory minimum sentences for marijuana. Don't tread on what the U.S. already fell into a bog down there, right?
Especially when there's a federal program for medical users. Like, it's going against what the Supreme Court's ordered.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing now with all these dispensary raids and with Health Canada making their improvements to the program. I'm getting kind of nervous on the whole medical side of things. let me ask you this: if they actually tried to take away your license to grow your own, your personal cultivation license, what would you do?
Sue them.
That's the way to do it.
I'm going to sue them because it's my medical right to grow this natural plant that has had 0 deaths and is not addictive and can be used for so many different wonderful things.
We missed 420. It's 423 right now.
Oh, we never missed it. It's 20
We're
after
just gonna drag.
everywhere in the world. We're just following the timeline
That's
as
right.
it goes along,
I'm
constantly.
gonna load up this bong with something.
We got Moroccan hash.
Oh.
We have all different kinds of cannabis. Do you want a first layer of cannabis?
Sure, that would definitely work here. What do we got in this baggie?
That one is the... Let me smell it.
It's quite the nugget.
I think the sticker fell off. Oh, that's Jack Hera. Boom,
Oh,
right away.
nice.
You can smell that right away.
The Jack.
Super
That stuff
popular.
that
That's
you're
a
rolling is
Steven-
the chocolate.
The
I can
chocolate
smell
loaf.
it from here.
Chocolate
Chocolate
loaf.
loaf. Jesus, that stuff is crazy, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really never smelled any cannabis that smelled that much like something that wasn't treated with something. So
You gotta take a look at that extract. You can put that in the bong too. It's
All right.
Rumpelstiltskin butter.
nice.
Super popular.
I'm gonna need that grinder possibly.
It's yours now.
And that's a Kush.ca grinder.
That's old school, man. I
It's
can
fully
see
old
it.
school. This was the one you gave me when they first came out.
Yeah, and
So tell people about Kush.ca.
Okay, well, I started it back in the day to showcase some of my products. I used to sell bongs and all sorts of stuff on there, grinders, and booty shorts. And I also used the money that I made from that to fund activism, help do rallies, and yeah, that's basically how I got into it. Now, I actually had problems selling bongs and stuff because it sucks shipping that crap.
Yeah.
And because bongs break. And I basically just decided just to put my videos up on there. And eventually I'll get my shit together and I'll sell my gear on there. Just mostly t-shirts and stuff like that, right?
But do you still sell the products and you're still doing some products?
Not right now. I'm not doing any of the store on there. There's some t-shirts on there, I think. But what I was planning on doing was opening up a couple stores. So I do have that spot where iMedikate 2 is. And then I'll be doing mail order through there. The problem with doing mail orders, if you use things like PayPal or anything like that, they can cancel your account because they consider bongs drug
PayPal will.
paraphernalia.
PayPal always hates us, cancels CCHQ's accounts, does all kinds of nasty shit.
Yeah, so I'm going to open a store and then I can do credit card and that stuff right from the store. So that's the plan in the end, but you know, it's not top of my priority. Kush.ca is a brand that represents the way I live. After facing cancer, I realized that you got to live life like there's no tomorrow. And you know what? It's been real depressing this last 3-4 days since the dispensary was shut down and all the different accusations of non-member sales and all the slandering that goes on when stuff like this happens.
Right.
You know, in the end of the day, I realize that it's about enjoying life. And a lot of my patients that actually I hang around, a lot of them aren't wealthy. They have basic needs that they just want to, you know, smoke a joint and have some good food and enjoy, you know, yourself. And that really brought me back to home, I guess you could say, you know, to realize that I just got to put things into perspective. I'm just blessed to be Canadian and to be able to grow weed and be able just to walk this planet free as I am, you know.
Right.
And I can always fight another day. And for every dispensary they shut down, I'm going to open up 2, you know.
You have a unique perspective on what you were just talking about, being Canadian. You just returned from traveling. You travel a lot, but you just got back from traveling. And on your voyages, you ran into a few little speed bumps along the way, didn't you?
Oh yeah, well,
what happened in Hong Kong?
Well, I went to Paris and medicated with my French brothers there, and then I went to Spanabis in Spain, and then I went back to Paris, and because I had a return ticket from Spain there, and then I took the train up to Amsterdam.
Right.
And then I blazed my face off from my Aruba brothers that are up there that are going to university around there. And I had a crazy night with them and I had to like make it to the airport. I emptied out all my bag, but I got a little slot in my bag. And I had a tiny bag like this, but with a little chunk of hash in it and a roach.
Oh man. And it
So-
was 1.7 grams total.
I've been to Hong Kong airport probably 40 or 50 times. And
Check this out.
that's really nice stuff. And anyways, I got searched. I guess because I was coming from Amsterdam, I now realize.
Yeah.
But I got searched, and they found that little baggie of hash I was crushed.
And
I felt so
bet.
stupid.
Oh man! Now, did they make a big scene? What happened?
Well, I was really upset. Like, I thought the worst, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like really almost teary-eyed at first. I wasn't that bad at first, but once I realized, hey, I'm going to be going to jail for the weekend at least, just because I couldn't make bail, right? But yeah, basically they respected that it was my medicine, and they weren't too strict about it. You know, they basically realized it was a mistake, but still went through the motions of it's a crime. You know, my mistake, even if it's my medicine, or you can purchase it in Amsterdam, as I brought it to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So, but I was roasted on a Saturday morning, and I had to wait till Monday morning. So they put me in a because I'm diabetic. I'm type 1 diabetic after my transplant, so I take insulin injections once a day, and then I have to adjust with another shot if my sugars go too high, which rarely happens. I actually have to monitor they go too low. So, but anyways,
More cookies, edibles.
yeah, juice and fruit and Whole Foods is good for me,
Right.
and weed. And
Snapple.
do you want to spark this up?
Hell yeah, I do. And I got a bong rip here.
Yeah, so anyways, so they were like, I have to take my insulin. They're like, well, you're going to have to go to the hospital because you can't do injections at the police station. So they took me to the hospital. Queen Elizabeth Hospital is where I ended up. You know, I was quite traumatized, and I knew that it would be better to be in the hospital than the police station. So so I was okay with that, and the doctor gave me sleeping pills, and so I was able to sleep.
Nice.
And because I just had huge anxiety,
I
like
bet.
I was, you know. But they put me in the custodial ward in that hospital, and I was with 4 Tanzanian guys that were smuggling. I don't know if it was heroin or cocaine, but they're shitting it out in my room. You know, it was like one big room, and they were handcuffed to the bed. Oh my God! So it was quite the night. Yeah, and I was treated quite well, but they weren't treated as well. They're definitely smugglers in a different category than me. They called in court the hash. Called it herbal cannabis.
Herbal cannabis.
Yeah, and
really?
I got a 500 Hong Kong dollar fine, and then kicked out a.
And what does that? What does that convert to in Canadian dollars?
I think it's like $60 or $70.
What? Oh my God!
Yeah,
man,
there
you
was
got
like
off so lucky.
The police and the airport customs officials, they said it was no big deal and it was an honest mistake, and like I was really treated well, and like they were concerned about my diabetes. I didn't have to pay for the hospital. I thought I was gonna have to pay for that.
Really?
They
have good healthcare in Hong Kong.
Thank you, Hong Kong.
See, it's universal healthcare, baby. Even
So,
for foreigners.
Check your bags. But then after I left Hong Kong, I was there for a couple days. I went back to Vancouver, and I got like raped by customs. They literally, buddy, that's an unreal.
Coming back to Canada is never fun.
They found a fleck of weed in my lip balm that I bought in Vancouver and carry around my bag, and like little crumblies had gotten in the where the lid connects. And so they like were going through my stuff so hardcore. And I've had times when I was leaving and I smoke a joint before I go to the airport. I'm allowed to smoke in Canada, and I reeked of weed, and like they did the same thing, strip search and just like search through my stuff so
That's
hard.
what I don't get. Why?
No
if
patient rights.
You're a patient and you're legal in Canada. Why is it that coming back through the Canadian customs at the border, they are so harsh on your ass with a little fleck?
I asked that very question, and the answer was that no matter what, if you're coming or leaving Canadian territory or soil,
Yeah.
they have the right to strip search you, bud.
They
They
just-
don't have to have an excuse.
No shit.
Yeah, no matter what. It's like they read it to you on the wall of
But
where you get
you're a
strip searched.
patient.
Yeah, well, apparently they want me to part my cheeks for them, and they don't care if you're a patient or not. And
Fuck, that sounds like a
thank you,
newspaper article.
customs.
You should go to the Vancouver Sun with that, man.
It's happened regularly. I don't have any rights. If I smell like marijuana, I'm apparently, you know, I give up my rights. And it happens when you get pulled over, that if you're carrying marijuana, that they're allowed to search your vehicle, they're allowed to, you know, basically treat you as a criminal, even if they know you're a patient.
That's why I think we have a drug war in a big way, so that the cops can just selectively enforce the people they don't like, anybody who looks like a troublemaker, anybody they want to go after.
The chocolate, I could tell right away.
The chocolate.
So good.
Smells, man, this weed is just crazy.
So does it taste like it smells, or what? It's not just like it's so it smells so much like chocolate. You think it's
It
fake.
smells, yeah, exactly. It
It's
smells
not
so
bad.
much, but it does have that same taste to it. It's kind of got like, it definitely has a weedy taste. It smells more, or tastes more like weed than it smells like weed, but it definitely has that chocolate edge to it.
You want to smoke some green crack or
I do.
Jack Hare?
And I'm gonna take this bong rip.
This is
yeah, man, I can really
God's,
taste. It's very sweet. It has that sugary flavor. What is that?
God's vagina. from the shaman.
I've heard this name before, and I thought they had changed the name because it was offending people or something, but I don't find anything offensive
That's
about
what
the word
name it
vagina.
was told to me.
Maybe God, but
I believe that there's one God in
He's
many
more
religions,
offensive
so
than
I hope I didn't
vagina.
offend any one religion in particular.
I'm gonna take this bong rip. I don't know if you can see that on camera or what, but Princess.
Did you put some butter in there?
I did put the butter in there.
Let me see.
There's
Oh, that's
some-
way too small. Here,
Too small?
Yeah, where's the thing?
Oh, there's a lot of
Holy
nuggets in
little-
there. You want to load up some more?
Yeah.
Trying to kill me here?
Yep.
All right. There
Okay,
might be
there you
more
go.
than one in there.
You
Good
don't
Lord.
have to try. You just take as much as you can. Okay?
All right, all
No
right.
one's judging you.
All right.
You want me to hold the base or something?
Oh,
Light
will
it?
you-
Light
will you
it?
hold my pot for me?
Oh,
A little reach
come
around
on,
here.
come on here.
All right. Here, put it on your knee.
Okay. You say when. Ready?
Yep. Oh yeah. Beautiful. That is delicious.
You took that like a champ.
Wow,
I'd be
man.
like on the ground.
That is so nice. Do you want to
Gobbing.
hit some more of this thing, Marius? You want to bone wrap?
Pass it around the room and load it up. Should we do a
All
buttered
right.
joint?
Hey, did this get shared on the front page? Is it on the front page? Let's see, yeah? Probably not. It will be. I forgot to put
Green
it on.
crack?
Oh. That was good.
What's up with the names today? eh?
Green crack. God's vagina.
Yeah.
Wow,
This
that
is
smells
the
good.
pine tar. This is one of my favorites. Here, I'll bust it open though. You really get a smell.
Wow. Okay.
Oh yeah, the pine tar.
So, Mark, I have all kinds of stuff to talk to you about. You're just a wealth of information. When you were on your trip, you went to Spannabis. We haven't
Yeah.
even talked about Spannabis yet. Tell
my
people what
God.
Spannabis is, and then tell them what it was.
Well, they got like decriminalization laws where if you're in your house, you can use or do whatever you want, kind of thing.
Yeah. In Spain.
So if you're out on the street with weed, it's illegal, so you can still get jacked. But it's got this wicked environment of a lot of pot users, and Spanabis is huge. The climate's amazing. So they have wicked outdoors there. So a lot of like the breeders from Amsterdam, they all got grows down there, and they can do a lot of their seed stuff down there. So there's an amazing climate. They also have VIP clubs. The one I went to was the Resin Club, and it's invite only. So as a member, you can bring one member. You can bring in one
Bring
member
a
only,
buddy,
one
yeah.
member referral. Thank God I know Urban Grower, and he introduced me to the owners, two ladies that own that, Elizabeth and Glenn, I think her name is.
Nice.
Anyway, so went there, and because I'm a patient, I got medical price and had a wide variety of cannabis. So I was stocked up. It's about 4 to 5 euros a gram. And Urban Grower's done a video there, so I'm sure you can see the Resin Club. Just
Remo's videos.
Urban Grower that.
Yeah.
But and the actual expo itself is huge. It's bigger than the Amsterdam Expo, and bigger than the Czech Republic Expo, the Prague one.
It's the biggest one, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you can smoke outside. It was just beautiful outside. So, and the indoor expo was like awesome, but everyone was outside just smoking and puffing. The best thing about these expos is all the people you meet. You know, from all over the world,
Yeah.
all the different vendors and all the different people that travel. You know, like-minded people. You really
Yeah.
get a sense
Potheads
of
from around the world.
I know I was criticized a little bit for not coming home right away. I landed in Paris, and I talked to my mom and talked to my lawyer, and they're like, you know what, you're gonna come home to nothing, because we don't even know what's going on. You know, it takes some time to figure out everything, right? And I realized that it would be good for my natural health expo to make sure I meet all these people,
We're going to talk about that as well.
and also B was to get some support, emotional support. I was really devastated. It was a shock to me what happened, right? So.
Right. No kidding.
In hindsight, I'm so glad. Also, I wanted to go shoot videos,
Right.
which I also know fuel the
Tell people where to
movement.
find the Weed Guy videos.
Well, you can go on kush.ca. I put up a lot of videos there, and there's links to my YouTube channel there. And I also do videos with Urban Grower, so you can see me in a lot of his videos. And yeah, that's mostly where you can find me. And urbangroweronline.com is Urban Grower's new website, and he's putting videos up there. And Hot TV.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be doing that soon. We got to talk to you guys about getting those videos up on our streaming 24-hour cycle of Pot TV.
Yeah, I've been on Marijuana Man show though, and they put up some of the archive stuff. One of my favorite ones is the one where I got a whole bunch of seeds and I did a huge grow, one of my first medical grows, and I was on Marijuana Man show.
Oh, the Grow Show before.
Yeah, the
not
grow
late-
way back,
Yeah,
like
right.
way back.
We
so.
probably have an archive with all of the original Pot TV content in it, and we're actually working to get a lot of that stuff up online. Marius.
I seen it. That
One
show's
days
definitely
we'll do
back
that
online.
Yeah, we have the man.
I seen the show that I was in with Mark and Greg, and we're in my grow. I was young. It's the same girl that was in the Union movie.
Right. Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So Spanabis was excellent.
The food's amazing there. It's cheap to go there, you know, compared to the rest of Europe. And the weather's just amazing. It's gorgeous, right on the ocean. I don't know, I just envision bowls and like more like Mexican kind of mentality, but it's more like really beautifully designed buildings and just amazing architecture. Yeah, really
Spain,
nice. Yeah, and right on the ocean.
Old.
Barcelona is where I was, so maybe it's different because it's more of a port city, but just amazing. And the people there are just really hospitable. Like I rented an apartment there. I really recommend people, if you're traveling throughout Europe, to rent an apartment. It's about the same, or if not cheaper, than getting a hotel. And you get your kitchen and usually better amenities like laundry and stuff.
Yeah.
So I use a website called Luxury Apartments or something like that, and it's really good.
I heard the same thing about going anywhere in Europe, basically.
Yeah, and if you go with a couple people, it's super cheap, you know, and they do rent 2 or 3 bedrooms, and it's you just go take a look. Luxury Apartments. There's 4 or 5 different websites. It's definitely the way to go. So for me, I like to have a kitchen. So I like to go out for food or whatever, but as a diabetic, I need to prepare myself food. So I like to have fruit and vegetables and cook one on breakfast. I like my eggs sunny side up, basted, soft. So to say that in Spanish is, I'll just cook my own.
Huh. Well, that's crazy, man. Yeah, and I know as a diabetic, you have to take a lot of care of yourself, so you must be meticulous, the whole thing.
Yeah, and always got to have juice around, and I'm always on insulin.
How does the cannabis affect your diabetes? Does it at all?
Well, for me, but there's 2 types of diabetes. There's type 1 and type 2. So after I had my transplant, I had full body radiation, which killed everything in my body, and I stopped producing insulin.
Right.
So I take insulin to supplement what you normally make.
That's type 1.
That's type 1. So type 2 would be where you develop lower levels of insulin.
Right.
So that's the difference,
obesity,
which can be controlled with
like that,
diet.
right?
Yeah, or just you party lots.
Right.
Damage to your pancreas. But anyway, so I'm on insulin all the time. I take an injection, so my sugars can drop below if I don't eat. So I'm supposed to eat like 2 to 3 hours and have a small little mini meal. But all night I don't eat. So I wake up in the morning and my sugars will be really low.
Yeah.
And you're kind of nauseated and you don't really feel like eating. I mean, some people feel like that anyways in the morning, right? So having some cannabis really does get my appetite going to be able to boost my sugars. And then I've also developed neuropathy. Just what they did to my body definitely aged me. My doctor says I'm like 20 years older.
Wow.
So like I have like joint and tendon pain, and I've developed neuropathy in my feet, the tip of my toes, which is like your nerves misfiring. Oh no, you can feel it. It's like you get pinpoint pricks, and sometimes when you walk a lot, like it feels like, at first it felt like someone was like grabbing your foot, like almost like your foot's feeling asleep.
Wow.
And that's what it started to feel. And there's no real pain medication for that. So, but so I use cannabis for that, and weed's natural. When I was on chemo and stuff, they put me on opiates, and after my transplant, I had to come off of that. That stuff's bad, man. You're physically addictive, and you get sick. You need it so bad, and you're crying like a little girl. You don't want to, you want to get off it, but you can't, right? So, cannabis is great for people that have addiction and that want to supplement that, whether it be for smoking or for opiate use or something like that. I know a lot of people that have used cannabis because they're alcoholics, and they need something to calm down, and it can be used that way. It can be really therapeutic. It's not physically addictive.
No, definitely not. You see a lot of that. They try and say that it is physically addictive, but it's more of one of those emotional things. Anything.
I travel so many places that I go a day or 2 easily without weed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, not true.
No. Well, this bong may need to be reloaded. Everything looking okay, Marius? How's everybody doing in the chat?
Oh, they're good.
What's up, chat room?
From what I can see in this limited console,
Nice.
your interview is ready, and the Zeitgeist.
Excellent. What time is it?
Giveaway, so we have to figure out how to do a ticket giveaway.
Oh, we're doing a ticket giveaway today on the show?
On the show.
Ah.
Free shit.
Well, we should probably bring you guys on then and talk about that. So, I don't know how many of you guys are coming. Who are we talking to? These guys. All right. Okay.
How about I give them the chair, and then I can roll to the side.
That's a good idea. We'll have you back on in a couple, because we have even more to talk about. We have your expo to talk about here in Vancouver.
Natural Health Expo.
Natural Health Expo.
With the P&E. Yeah!
Right. And it's Natural Health Expo, but it's a medical marijuana expo at the same time.
Yeah, I've contracted to have a 30 to 70% ratio. So 30% of the booths will be marijuana related, 70% will be natural health.
Nice.
Fact of the matter is, as a patient, your health should matter, so it all goes hand in hand. And I think it's a great opportunity, and I really am glad that the PNE is supporting me doing this. It's owned by the city, so it's just to get this to be able to happen has been a lot of negotiations.
Nice work, man.
So yeah, so I'm really proud to be able to have that happen.
And it's
July
really,
24th.
The contracts are signed. You guys are already ready to roll.
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
right?
I already got. Well, you have to get everything approved first.
Right.
So I already got it approved, and then you have, it's called first rights, and then you put a deposit down. So all that's done. So it's a go.
I'm excited, man.
And I just found out Iron Maiden's going to be at the PNE on that Saturday of the Expo, so make sure you get your tickets if you want to do that. And we'll be doing the Kush Cup. No. The Kush Cup's going to be the Urban Grower and the Weed Guy award show and medical cannabis competition. Yeah, basically the expo is going to be all ages, so we're not going to be smoking pot in the expo. It's going to be natural health. We're going to have grandma down there, you know, but we're going to do evening events. They're going to be separate at separate venues where you're going to smoke your face off. You're going to try different strains. You're going to judge and have a great time. So and it'll be a totally separate event, but it'll be alongside it, and I'm really excited for that also.
That's very cool, man.
At the expo itself, we're going to have shuttle buses, 2 places for people to medicate.
Right.
So it's going to be close there.
There won't be any smoking on the premises of the PNE.
No, PNE is a family place. It's where they have the fair.
Yeah.
So if you've ever been down there, you'll know that.
What about for patients? Are they able to? I don't know how that works on city property anyway.
There's a sidewalk there. So
there's a sidewalk, so people can
so you
smoke
can
wherever
medicate
they
all you
want.
Yeah. I'm under contract.
Right, exactly.
To abide by city bylaws, and I'm sure you guys are aware that they're quite strict about that. So the day of the event, who knows what I'll be able to negotiate. I want to get my foot in the door. So I've done whatever they said, and I think they've been quite accommodating, letting us have marijuana booths at the PNE name
awesome,
on it.
Man.
So
no, it's
really
going
to be awesome. And the Health Expo is fun too. There's gonna be lots of food. I'm pushing to have lots of vendors giving away free food.
You told me that that they also allow you to use marijuana leaves on the materials and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so in past exhibitions there's been like grow shows and stuff like that at say like Canada Place and BC Place. They don't allow to have like pictures of weed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So on our banner and stuff we can have a pot leaf and stuff like that, which is they said it to me during the contract negotiations, which I didn't realize was a big deal. And then I talked to other people at nutrient shows and stuff, friends from Advanced Nutrients and stuff, and that they do marijuana marketing also,
right?
Where their nutrients are for marijuana,
right?
And so they had been shut out of a show before, and I never knew that, and now I know why. So that's a great thing that the PNE is allowing us to do marijuana pictures in our advertising. People already realize it's a big, huge PNE. It's a big expo and like carnival for like, what is it, 3 weeks that they do here?
PNE, I don't know how
I don't know how many years
it's
been doing it. It's been like 30 years we've been doing it.
Oh, it's great
for,
too. I love
forever.
the PNE. I go
really
all the time. I go every year pretty much.
Yeah, so
and they have Playland attached to it, which is like awesome roller coasters, crazy rides, the Elevator.
Yeah, so it's a family environment. So they have to project that sort of image also. So they definitely support the cause and they understand it's an agenda of the city, was what they said to me.
Right.
And they also did have to get approval by the city and the police.
They checked it out with the cops and with the city, and they said everything was fine.
Yeah, so I'm excited. It's just a huge opportunity for me. It's a big undertaking. I'm going to need all the support I can get. And not just on booths and people coming and coming down to the show. It's going to be cheap too. We're going to keep it under $15. So that's going to be awesome.
Cool. Awesome, man. Well,
Awesome,
excellent, Mark. I'm glad you came on the show today. Thanks for bringing all the stuff.
No problem. I'll keep rolling.
Yeah.
That's my job.
Keep rolling, baby. Keep out of trouble at the border. Jeez.
Oh, I'll always get searched by the border.
Yeah, but just keep that hash tucked away somewhere other than your bag. You gotta smoke that before you get there. And I'm gonna smoke this bong. And so, who are we bringing on here? Do you guys both want to come on? I don't know if we can all fit on the screen. How's that gonna work? What do you think? We have enough for 3?
Maybe. No, not really.
Not really?
You can take turns.
Yeah, well, you know what? Why don't, you guys could both come on and just talk. Why don't you guys both come on and just talk?
That's what I was thinking, actually.
Yeah. All right, well, these guys, you guys are from the Zeitgeist movement here in Vancouver. We kind of team up with you guys and do events. We're at a lot of the same activism events and stuff. And you guys have tickets to some of the events that you're doing, or something gig that you guys have going on, right?
Yeah.
So come on and talk about that.
All right. You want to just ask us questions about it from over there? Or?
Sure, yeah, exactly. I'll feed you guys some questions. Cool. And I don't know, you guys want a bong rip? Are you guys puffers?
We are, but I think I'm good right now.
All right, okay. You want to hit the bong? This is some crazy. It's got some nice butter in it.
Maybe like as I'm getting off.
Okay, that might be advisable. All right. So yeah, so tell us about the First of all, tell us the Zeitgeist movement, what it's about, and what you guys do here in Vancouver, and then tell us about what your gig is.
Well, the Zeitgeist movement, for anyone who doesn't know, is a worldwide activist organization that basically promotes how to make a sustainable world and what it actually means to have a sustainable society and economic system.
Right, and the approach we kind of take is, instead of looking at things through the old model, or the model that we have now, which is largely a political and an economic standpoint, which is how do we make a profit out of whatever we're doing. Also doing away with like old concepts of like religion, and just taking a direct technical look and using what we know scientifically as to what we can apply to problem solving, and every problem.
Yeah, like when you want to design a plane, you don't ask a bunch of politicians for their opinions on how to design a plane. So when you want to feed everybody on the planet, it's not about people's opinions and arguing. You need engineers, someone who knows how to do it, to design a distribution system that gets the food out there to the people.
Right. And so you guys would advise, for instance, using hemp or things like that. You guys,
definitely,
of course, yeah,
wherever it is the most efficient and way to use anything for a medicine or for fibers or everything else that hemp is useful for, it should be used.
Right. The whole hemp and marijuana war is a perfect example of an inefficiency that is inherent in the system. We take this plant that is valuable across the board for clothing, paper, medicine. I mean, you can just do so much oil, food. We can do everything with this plant, and because it stands as a threat to certain corporate interests, a valuable material is kept from the world, and it's this kind of backwards thinking and you can find that in every aspect of what the world that we live in. Like, we don't have the best foods we possibly could have. We don't have the best shelters, insurance system, medicines. All of these things could be improved if there weren't corporate financial interests. And we're not saying that money is evil or inherently wrong, but we're just looking at the world as what's possible and what's efficient and what works. And we're saying, if you look around, it's not hard to see that this system is not working. It's just,
Right, exactly. Cool, and so you guys are always here in Vancouver at the events, doing the activist work and getting the message out there. What's this latest gig that you guys are doing?
Yeah, well, we set up our booth every Saturday at the Vancouver Art Gallery, and then whenever there's an event like Davy Day or the 420 Festival, we'll always set up there and talk to people. And so this weekend is Zeitgeist Day, Z-Day. It's a yearly event that happens. All the chapters around the world will put on an event. And this year the main event is here in Vancouver. Peter Joseph, the director of the Zeitgeist film series, is in town, and he's giving a lecture and doing a screening. And the lecture is tomorrow, and we have 10 tickets here to give away for that.
And that's going to be down at the Vogue.
And there's other speakers too, people from around the world in the movement. I'm going to be doing a talk. There's 6 talks altogether.
Very cool. And so you have 10 tickets to give away right now on the show?
Right. Just sign in on the chat and give...
What exactly to what event are those tickets good for?
They are good for tomorrow at the Vogue Theater. Doors at 11, the event is at 12, and it's the lecture event.
Okay, so this is for the lecture tomorrow at 12. Okay.
Right. And where is the location again?
The Vogue Theater on Granville.
Cool. Awesome. So, yeah, I don't know how we're going to work that out. What, you guys had some scheme that you were doing in the chat or something?
I think he said he's just going to ask people in the chat and to email in, or what?
Yeah, anybody who's from Vancouver, basically. I don't know who on the show is. We probably have some Vancouverites watching. So, yeah, if people want, they can just send it to my email address, Jeremiah@CannabisCulture, and the first 10 people who send emails, we'll give them to them.
Okay.
And then we can just check it after the show, and we can even...
Actually, have them send it to CC Nebula. Or actually, no. Send them to Marius at Cannabis Culture. I already have the thing.
Oh, okay.
Marius at Cannabis Culture. Email him and get
Spell
free
it for
tickets.
Him. Marius at Cannabis Culture.
Ready here.
I'll put all that butter into this.
Or just check out.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
Big butter joint. There you go.
ZeitgeistVancouver.org, is it?
Yeah. I don't know, org or com?
Oh, .com.
.com, yeah. So.
And so you
have a big
mentioned the
overlay there.
Zeitgeist film series, which is a popular thing. It's one of the internet's most watched movies.
Yeah, definitely,
And
yeah,
I actually am a fan of the first one. Definitely, I am a 9/11 truther, and there's some 9/11 truth stuff in there. There's also this global bankers theory. And of course, there's the first part about religion, which is very interesting to me as well. And the sort of astrological foundations of Christianity.
Right.
I found that quite fascinating too. The other ones, I don't think I've really even seen both of them all the way through, sadly.
All right. Oh, yeah,
But maybe explain to people what the Zeitgeist film series are about.
Okay. Well, the first one you kind of went over, and that was the first movie. It was over 100 million views on the upload on Google Video, and the movement actually started after the second movie, which is about. It's about two things. It's about the monetary system and how it affects our everything, as society, poverty, politics, and what to do about it, which is resource-based economy. It presents the Venus Project, which is the work of Jacques Fresco, and he has he devised a system called the resource-based economy, which is what we promote.
Cool. And what's the third movie about?
The third movie expands on the train of thought of the second movie. It brings in a lot more experts and doctors and these kind of thing. It talks about human behavior, and then again with monetary market policies from a bit of a different angle, and then a resource-based economy.
Right, it takes a more holistic look at what's going on. I think it addresses a really important question. Something that we come across a lot when we try to spread these ideas is the human nature argument, is that we're trying to see what the world would be like without so much competition, and people tend to believe that that's an ingrained trait, that we're just naturally these competitive, self-serving entities, when really we're not sure how much of that is reproduced by the environment versus what they call human nature. And that it goes into that a lot, and it's really just fascinating to just kind of break apart the human mind, because you start to see that the environment that we all live in is not separate from us, that we're totally affected by it 100% of the time.
But how about the organization of government itself, though? Are you talking about a socialistic type of system where we have federated government that overlooks a large period of land?
Using a term like socialist is it harkens back to certain ideas that maybe things that you would say, oh, this resembles something that might be socialist, but I don't think it's fair or really honest to look at something that can emerge at this time in human history with a word that was invented 100 years ago. There are things that are applicable now that
word especially gets muddied through all kinds of different things.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but if we were to look at, say, a Nolan chart, of authoritarian versus egalitarian, and, where you...
I guess, well, the thing is, all, socialism, you're just thinking more or less government control, really, and you don't really think of how the government works, and we don't really agree with the whole idea of politics. Like I was talking before with... politicians will just throw their opinions around, and people will vote for whoever's opinion they like best.
Right.
But one of the taglines we have is science applied to society, or using the scientific method for social concern. And in science, you base your decisions upon repeatable results, not based on the opinions of politicians. So government wouldn't really work in the same way. It would be engineers, it would be scientists, it would be people willing to do the research and actually figure out what they're talking about, rather than this person with a personality who's going out and saying...
So this is beyond the current political system entirely.
Right. Yeah. In other words, when we... Okay, the concept of authority would be... Right now, when I say authority, you might think, oh, like a police officer, or this parent figure, or someone that has but the authority that we're trying to look towards would be the authority of your doctor or your car mechanic, someone who has expertise in something and can actually get something done. You actually want their authority. You would follow their authority because you trust what they know, rather than a politician whose authority you have to take. We're talking about going to the authority of the experts because they know what works.
Well, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, I need to find out more. I really don't honestly know deeply about the movement or anything like that, but we've hung out with you guys a lot at rallies and stuff, and you guys are pretty cool, so it's nice to have you on the show. So yeah, about the whole ticket thing, I guess, again, we should give away that address. Marius, do you want to throw that back up there again?
Yeah, no worries.
It's questions everyone in society should ask.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
And I think that's great
What-
that you guys are doing that.
Definitely,
Yeah.
whether you agree with us or not, it's definitely good to be thinking and
To have
asking.
that conversation going, yeah.
Definitely.
Rather than just be a lemming and just wonder nothing, you know? You really gotta wonder
just going through
how the system is.
Yay!
Are we shooting? Are we rolling?
We are. And actually, David, you're up next. So cool, guys. Thanks a lot for that. We'll give away those tickets to anybody who sends into that. Thanks a lot, guys. Much appreciated.
Thank you for having me.
And so, David, here, I don't... All right. So we're smoking this crazy joint right here. Look at this thing. Should show that off on the camera for a second.
Can I give them the popcorn because they want more?
Yeah, but I want a little bit of that popcorn. Give me some of that shit. This is caramel corn, but that's infused, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it just looks like popcorn. And it tastes like popcorn.
It's so good.
It doesn't taste like weed.
It's got a good kick on it too. I should stop eating it.
This is butter in here. Is that right?
Yeah, the rest of what was in there, at least I'd say a couple grams.
Can you look up something on the interwebs?
Right now?
Yeah.
Before you do your segment?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
I need.
You need an internet? Here, talk to this character here.
Can we use that?
No, you can't use that.
Marius?
Talk to this guy. All right. That's tasty, man. And so what else did you bring? You brought the popcorn, but you got these brownies?
Yeah, Viper brownies.
Viper brownies. Medicinal grade.
Blueberry brand cookies. Keep you regular.
Marius.
Blueberry brand.
These are remarkable foods. All different suppliers. We don't just use one supplier. That goes for the weed too.
It looks delicious. Do
You want to try one? How do you say it looks delicious? Crack it open.
All right. I will try one.
It's still. I'm waiting. Marius.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah. Address.
Marius, can you help David? He needs your help before he does his thing. Before he does his thing, David Malmo-Levine from the Herb Museum, which is on the second floor of this building. And sadly, it's not open right now, but we are planning to open the second floor of this building. We've been planning for a while. Hasn't happened yet. But it'll be nice when we finally do because we'll have a second floor of our Vapor Lounge. Right now, our Vapor Lounge is constantly packed.
So
Hard to get a seat in there sometimes. But 2 floors of Vapor Lounge.
It's packed tightly. People are rolled quite.
That's right.
quite
They're rolling
snug.
in. I do have an iPad around here you could use as well, David.
There's a Reefer Madness Museum. Click on that.
You're good. All right.
And
Well-
great. It's reefermadnessmuseum.org. Great.
I was
then
supposed
you
to
go
open
down.
these brownies. What did I do with them? I think you took them. No, they're... This is how high I am.
Can you scroll up?
The brownies are on my lap.
Scroll down.
I'm like, where are the brownies?
All the way to the bottom.
How much of this stuff are you feeding me?
Perfect.
See, here's the thing about edibles for me.
This is $5 at iMedikate.
When I eat a lot of, even a little bit of edibles, I really get super high and sleepy. Like stony, like...
Me too, buddy. But sometimes I get buzzy.
Yeah? Not usually
Depends
me.
on the cannabis.
One time, I've told this story before, I don't remember if I told it on the show, but I had a birthday party, and we made a big, huge tray of brownies. And there was like 50 people at the party in Nanaimo, where I used to live there. And everybody ate the brownies, and at one point I remember just looking around, and everybody was just standing there, nobody was saying a word. And there was like 50 people in the room, or maybe not 50, but it was like, 30 to 40 people in the room, and seriously, silence, just like, whoa. Everybody just way too baked.
I'm ready.
David, we're ready now. Okay. Come on, David.
Woohoo! Now, there's a website.
David Malmo-Levine.
Reefer Madness
Thanks, guys. Much
Museum.org.
appreciated.
Zeitgeist!
David,
Hola!
do you want any of this brownie?
Oh,
It's
no,
delicious.
no.
Alright.
You have it for me. You tell me how high you get.
It's delicious.
I'm lightweight these days. This is one of the many beautiful items from our collection at the Herb Museum. It is Wanted issue. It doesn't say what issue number it is, but it's January 1950, and it has a Dope King comic story inside it that we have lovingly prepared so that you yourself can read it when you come to the museum. And I brought it to let people know that there's a poop load of marijuana-related comic books or Reefer Madness-related comic books, and they have been, or the covers and sections of them have been uploaded to this really cool website I just discovered. It's called reefermadnessmuseum.org, and on it, can we point the camera to the website that you just had up there a second ago?
Say it again.
reefermadnessmuseum.org.
Put the overlay up. Overlay. Thanks,
Tasty, what is that?
Marius is the man.
Well, don't cut me out.
Oh, sorry.
Ho ho. That is.
I didn't. No
Russell
disrespect.
skin butter in there.
What?
This
You
is
put
crazy
butter
shit.
in there?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys shouldn't hand me something with butter without telling me it's buttered
Sorry,
up.
it's like a lethal weapon.
Oh man, I'm gonna get so high.
There you go. That's what you want, isn't it?
Uh,
Alright, look at this, look at this
am
awesome
lightweight.
frame, though, David.
You shouldn't
Tell me about this frame.
spike people's
This is
thing with
incredible.
passion, not
Awesome background and this
not
green
tell.
sparkly.
Um,
Is that your
I
design?
didn't hand
No.
it to you, so don't blame me.
Yeah, it's all your fault. You handed me spiked stuff, man. Don't get too high.
Hey, man. You're in the circle.
Yeah,
What can I say?
I'm gonna ask from now on. Does this have butter in it? No. Does this have hash in it?
You saw Mark was in the room.
I should have known. You guys.
So, Wanted. Explain that
Yes.
one.
Well, it's one of those kind of crime comics that came out in the day. It doesn't say what comic book company put this out
1950.
either. Yeah, January 1950 though.
It is under the comic books code, though.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
right.
back
Conforms to the code.
conforms to the comics code, sort of barely. Well, I guess the bad guy gets it. You know, the dope king gets arrested or shot. So that shows that you know, the evil is punished and good triumphs. But
So
I
lots
know the reason why he's walking through a pot field apparently there. I don't know if you can see, boys and girls, but this is what they showed as marijuana, a field of marijuana.
Nice. We
Yeah.
have a monitor now.
The dope king.
I forgot to tell people we're filming in our downstairs office because upstairs in the Pot TV studios, there's construction going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of construction. So check out the dope king, kids. Dope king. But yeah, and check out reefermadnessmuseum.org for a whack of old Reefer Madness items
Whack.
that you can learn just how the powers that be, the corporate rulers, fooled us all into fearing this fantastic flower.
Oh, that was nice, David.
Yeah. Oh, I have a new article up. It's called what is it called?
It was marijuana growing and dealing. What was it?
Standards.
Standards, not barriers.
Not barriers.
That's
And it's
what it
all
was.
about how to set up legalization without turning it into some sort of corrupt, weaselly system where you got to know someone or pay someone off, kiss some ass, and the rules can't be arbitrary. If the rules are set up ahead of time and everyone can read the rules instead of having an elite group of people to determine what the rules are, then you don't have to, pay anybody off. You just pay your licensing fees and you can go into business for yourself. They want to make it so it's really easy to limit the number of pot retail or dispensaries, because it's a medical marijuana regulations group. They want to limit the number of dispensaries for one for every 50,000 people. And in the big cities, the number of alcohol dispensaries or wine dispensaries there are like one in every 1,250 people. So way more consolidated and monopolized pot market than wine market. Not cool. So everybody must get stoned and everybody must make some money helping others get stoned. I think that's what Bob Dylan would have said. Is like it's important, instead of one person making all the money, that everyone makes some of the money. So that's what that's about. It's also about here in Health Canada. Mark Boris St. Maurice, another pot activist, longtime pot activist, suggested that in order to be in charge of quality control in a marijuana distribution, medical marijuana distribution operation, you need a degree in microbiology. And I think that's lame. You don't need a degree in microbiology to sell produce, to sell fruits and vegetables, which can also mold. No, you just need to be able to look at a vegetable, an apple or an orange, and notice that there's mold on there. You don't need a degree in microbiology to sell cheese. And all sorts of shit can grow on cheese. So why do you need a degree in microbiology to sell weed? You don't. You could set up a lab that everybody could go visit legally and legally analyze their cannabis for molds, fungi, heavy metals, you name it.
Tomographs.
Yeah, you know, that could be set up. I can understand why you address that concern that way, but to make the person who's in charge of buying quality marijuana and selling quality marijuana have to pay. I know.
Or radiate. You should also talk about how they want people to radiate the weed.
Oh yeah, in Canada we have this legal marijuana. It comes from prairie plant systems, and this legal marijuana, it's heavily irradiated. It's high in microbes, anyways. It's high in heavy metals, and it's low in THC. It's kind of stemmy, seedy.
And they grind it all together.
Stems, seeds, and all. And it's the worst medicine in the world. It comes with its own return form. It's the only medicine on earth that comes with its own return form. That should tell you how bad it is.
All should.
So we cannot let the government set our own standards because they're really bad at it. Do you know what their standards are for heavy metals in tobacco? 0, none. You can have as many, heavy metals in tobacco as you want, which is why everyone dies of tobacco smoking. It's radioactive chemical fertilizers. There's a big discussion on it in the Cannabis Culture forums. Look in Counterspin forum to learn up on why people die of tobacco.
To learn up
that stuff. Hey, do you know what you can dump on a farm? Anything at all sorts of garbage, as long as you label it as an amendment, fertilizer. You can dump anything you like on a farm, and that's the only place in the world you can dump anything you like is on a farm. So let's not trust the government that regulates farms so well, that regulates tobacco so well, with coming up with the cannabis regulations. By all means, let us activists write our own regulations and submit them to the government and say, why not these? And let's not also have a board, a group of, 21 members or whatever they want to set up in California to be determining what those standards are. Let's just have those standards written ahead of time that everyone agrees on. Send the rough copy through the activist community, post it on the websites, let there be a vigorous debate on what those standards are, and then that should be submitted to our various governments as the regulations. That's my 2 cents for this week. That's what I was...
You have to talk to your MP about that one to see what they come up with.
Well, in Canada, we have to basically work through the court system because they're the only supportive power structure supportive of medical marijuana.
The government will never go for anything like this.
So I think the next project that I have going on will be something to educate all the members of the public, all the press, all the judges, and all the politicians that all use is medicinal. Because they're already cool with medicinal. They just don't realize that every pot user is a medical pot user, and that there's a bunch of branches of medicine, preventive medicine, herbal medicine, folk medicine, that have nothing to do with doctors. People are like, you can't just give the whole, you can't call it all medicine because you're giving our whole entire market over to the doctors. And I'm like, no, I'm not, because I'm redefining what medicine is too.
No.
Not even redefining, but
it's
alerting people to the actual definition of what medicine is. Medicine isn't just something that someone hands you in a lab coat.
In Western countries, it kind of is.
Not anymore. Mother Nature's coming back, man, in a big way. Herbs are like, people are understanding during this age of information, when information travels so easily and so quickly through all sorts of ways. In this age of information, we're realizing that the herbs are safer, cheaper, and more effective. And that sort of marketing strategy, the truth about Mother Nature,
it never works.
It's hard to quell. It's hard to put a spin on it. It's hard to lie your way out of people realizing that. More and more people are using herbs, finding out they work, and relying on them. And this is what the marijuana movement is kind of in the head of, or in the front of, is this realization that Mother Nature provides. Mother Nature does it cheaper, safer, and more effectively than the synthetic patentable medicines, or the synthetic fuels, monopolizable fuels, or the private modes of transportation that could be replaced by public transportation.
Not as much money in it for those same corporations who like to...
Cry me a river. These corporations have been living like parasites off the rest of our backs and off planet Earth for far too long. I'm afraid we're going to have a revolution in the way things are done.
You can't patent a herb.
You can't patent a herb, and a broken heart don't appear on no x-ray. So we're going to have to redefine all sorts of things. We're going to have to switch the economy around so the money gets spread out. I'm a wealth spreader. If you got some wealth, I want to spread it. I want to make sure everyone makes enough instead of a few making all of it and the rest of people suffering and dying because of poverty. There's like, I don't know what the percentages are, but way too many people in the world are poor. And 200 years ago, 7 out of 10 jobs were agricultural jobs. So if we're looking at a way to put everyone back to work, let's get people growing things, high-value medicine crops. That seems that it makes more sense to me rather than having all this poverty, unnecessary poverty around. I'd like to create a marijuana tourist industry in every country in the world. So you can travel to the North Pole and smoke some North Pole. Ice bong is in the North Pole. You can go to the equator and you can smoke pot there. Everywhere.
Stokes.
Yeah.
Stokes.
Well, you should talk to that Richard Branson.
Oh, yeah, he's hitting the bong when he's up there.
Because he's in favor of weed, he's in favor of drug peace, he's in favor of space travel. I bet you he'd be the guy to do it.
Yeah.
Space Stokes.
He probably wants to be the first one to take a bong hit outside.
It's already been
I bet you he's already done it.
It's already been done.
What do you think? What are the odds?
No, I bet it was
somebody's
done
gotten
before
high in
Branson.
space.
I bet NASA did it a long time ago.
Yeah, you
or maybe
think
those
those bad
crazy
boys?
Russian,
It's
those
probably
crazy
so
Russian
funny.
astronauts.
Hard to
Chip
say.
had the first bong toke.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see by the clock on the wall. I gotta make like a tree and leaf.
Make like a tree and get out of here.
I'll make like a tree and get the puck out of here. But
Hey,
Thanks, David.
Would you like a complimentary ticket to the Z-Day lecture tomorrow at noon?
We can't give these things away.
Zeitgeist. I'm a little scared about that. They're a little fuzzy on the who gets to make all the decisions question. So
I kind of tried to get a little bit of that out
Well,
of
you
them.
can participate in the lecture. I'm sure they have a question and answer period afterwards.
I know, but I'd have to listen to them first. That's the other problem, is that all the really good ideas, like about how to run society, I think you don't need to reinvent the wheel. I think anarchism, libertarian socialism, they've been around for a long time, and unless your decision-making powers, unless everyone has a way of contributing and having an effect on the way decisions are made, decisions will be made in the interest of the few. And nothing that Zeitgeist or Star Trek or anything anybody else comes up with convinced me that that's not true, because that's been my personal experience in my life, that when I'm making the decisions, they're made in my interest. When I'm making them with other people, they're made in our interest. And when someone's making the decisions for me, they're made in that decision maker's interest and not my interest. So I'm going to probably believe that for the rest of my days. We need
Smaller governments.
Well, we not
I
necessarily
think things
smaller.
need to be open.
You just need
Open voting, open money, so we know where our taxes go. You should be able to put in your SIN number and then be able to see where your tax money goes.
Well, we're definitely having a revolutionary
jets?
in the media. The media has to continue to be more decentralized so that everyone can contribute to the discussion and the debate on any issue. And that way, the good ideas rise to the top, and then we have the best information to vote with. And then we have to start voting on issues and not voting for people. Like, why can't we have a referendum on pot?
A referendum.
We should have a referendum on
Do you
pot.
trust the voting system that it's
I trust it better than the vote for the rich guy system we have right now.
I mean the actual rigging of voting.
Well,
I think
I
our
think we're
system
smart
is-
enough to come
in
up with
Canada-
ones that can't be.
That's what I'm saying. I
No,
think
the
that
ones we
needs
have
to be
now in
addressed.
Canada, we don't use electronic voting or anything like
Yeah.
that here in Canada.
I don't trust the black box voting.
Paper ballots.
I
Paper ballots is the same.
I don't trust the way they vote in Florida.
Yeah, yeah.
But I
Right.
do think that human beings, if we're smart enough to put a dude on the moon, we're smart enough to come up with a system of voting where hackers or rich people don't, tilt the table for them.
Yeah.
And with that, I leave you with those profound thoughts, mind-blowing thoughts here on Pod TV. How does you get off the net? One click and you're hooked. And I'm too high. Butter, you guys.
I'm really high.
This is butter
really
etiquette. If you have butter in your joint, warn people, or else gonna walk around legless all day.
Legless.
Legless. Woo! I'm popping in.
Bye, David. Yeah, that's a nice joint. And there's this bong rip left here. You haven't taken one yet.
You want to just
You haven't
do
taken
me
a bong
in?
rip. You should probably take this one.
I'll try.
Princess. And so we can pretty much go to that video anytime now, I guess. Have we gone through everything that we needed to do today?
For a while. One more thing.
Oh, right. We were promoting something, but did he ever
One
call?
more thing. Just this moment, I was going to interview Steel Smith today.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he was busy. I just got an email from him, and with any luck, we have one Friday before his court case comes up on the 20th. So.
Do you want to come and do it on camera? Do you want to? Is there anything else?
No, because I have to look up his website here.
Okay.
I'll get the website to you on the crawl in just a second.
So yeah,
Might even during the beginning of the interview, but
he can come on next week or something, right?
Yeah. Hopefully he'll come out next week, and yeah, that'll be fun.
Cool. What time is it right now?
5:12.
Nice.
Whoa.
Or no, wait, maybe it is 5:12. My computer time.
Wow, it's been a good show. We still have more to go too. So this is an interview.
You almost caught my finger.
Oh,
It's
pinched,
close.
just
Yeah,
pinched you.
No pain. It was close.
Oh, that would be very bad. But this butter is like antiseptic. It'll just numb your fingers.
Yeah, so if anyone's interested in getting a booth at the Natural Health Expo, you can email me at info@kush.ca. That's info@kush.ca. Booths start around $1,000.
Right, so that's not too bad at all. And so it's
Cheaper
gonna
than
be-
any other expo out there.
How many booths total are you selling?
Not sure of the total floor layout, but in around 200, I'd say.
It's gonna be big.
Yeah, because we're gonna have different sizes for different booths. So
Wow, it's a cool way to do it with the combination.
I hope to have 100. Let's put it that way. It's as many as I can get.
Right.
It's a huge space, 50,000 square feet, 5,000 people capacity, 2,700 permanent seats. It's a big place.
The Forum.
Mm-hmm.
Peony Forum. Yeah, they do musical acts there all the time.
Huge, and yeah, we're definitely gonna have a performer there. It's a big space, so hopefully I'll get to do a concert in the evening. We're just gonna keep trying to plug away at it and get it bigger and better, just until it actually happens. So.
Nice, excellent, man. Is there anything else we needed to get done with you? Any email or website addresses to drop or anything? I'm really baked now. I can barely say anything.
You can
barely
tell I was
function.
in the house.
Yeah.
Just kush.ca to watch my videos, and you can get all the links there.
And the Expo, I'm going to interview you again. I lost our last interview about it, but I'm going to interview you again about the Expo, and we'll have something up on CC about that coming up soon.
Awesome.
And
yeah. Just show your support for iMedikate by sending emails to the city and to the police.
Right.
Inquiring about what's going on and why they shut it down, because quite honestly, it's just a real big loss for the community, and we're going to reopen. We have the right to be there. We didn't do anything wrong. So
Exactly.
I maintain that. So there's no non-member sales, and you had to have a doctor's diagnosis, and that's how we operated. If someone in the community had a problem, they sure didn't say nothing to us, and we have a right to be there, a medical right. So that's what I believe. So I stand up for that.
Now, there's a school that's close to you guys there, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. There is, but there's a school at the other dispensary too.
Right, and that might not mean necessarily anything at all. But
You have to have picture ID, and you have to be above 18.
yeah.
So right there, that just
Yeah.
it just doesn't happen. Like, we ID every single person that comes in there.
Right, exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but the neighborhood, and you said there's actually a tattoo parlor right in that neighborhood, and a gun shop right there too.
There's 4 or 5 businesses. There's the gun store, awesome gun store, for all your crossbow and hunting needs.
Yeah.
And then there's a pastry school, tattoo parlor, and like Portuguese restaurant, and a mechanics place. That's it. That's all that's there.
Yeah.
So yeah. There's no kids from the school getting sales. I really don't believe it's the school, because honestly, the school would like say something.
Yeah.
You know, we'd get a letter or something, right? There was nothing, so I believe it was.
But maybe some parent or something, you know, like walking by, taking their kid to school, like, wow, what is this?
That's
thing
possible.
here?
I could totally see that. But I mean, that's just, you know, that's misinformation. That's someone that's not educated, obviously, about what we're doing and how we're helping people. Like, they're hurting people. They're hurting fellow Canadians accessing medicine for their medical needs.
Yeah.
So, and that's a right. And whether they believe in it or not, people are going to have to learn that medical access to marijuana has already been won in the Supreme Court, and that's why there's the federal system that it is, and that it's a right, and it's going to be upheld by the Supreme Court, as it has time and time again. And if it means we got to pay lawyers to show people that's how it is, then that's how it's going to be.
Exactly. Well, and that's, I think, what's going to happen with the courts and with Bill C-10 coming up. I don't know, man. I think as soon as Bill C-10 comes in, and the cops, if they really do start going after people, it's going to all be done in the courts. We're going to have to do everything with lawyers.
I think people will start voting more. I mean, I think that's one of the fundamental problems in Canada, is it's the elderly that are voting, the baby boomers. We, as the echo of the baby boomers, need to, you know, start voting more. It's clear in the polls that the youth don't vote enough. 18 to 30 are not voting enough, and I think that needs to be the real push. I think we already know what values that we want out of what leaders we want. I think it really needs to come down to the actual exercise of voting.
Yeah. How do you get them out, though? That's the crazy thing about it.
I think it needs to start in the schools. I think it really needs to start in the universities and the colleges and the secondary programs.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be more organization. That's how it happened in our parents' past. When something needed to be organized, it was done on the college and university level.
Cool. Cool, man. Marius, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I can say a few words about Steele Smith, and I have
Do you want to come sit down for a second?
his website. Yeah.
You guys.
Well, that looked pretty good.
Hey, no, we're still on, still going.
Still going?
Still looks good.
So with any luck, and we haven't confirmed anything, I will be interviewing Steele Smith next week. He is a medical marijuana user. In 2001, I believe, he was discovered to have these ulcers embedded in his stomach. Later on, he became addicted to morphine, and I believe that's when he discovered medical marijuana and started one of the first collectives down in Orange County, California. He's had a court case. He got raided later on, unfortunately, and his court case is pending. It has been canceled at least half a dozen times over the last 5 years, and the next court date is on March 20th. And you can see on the crawl there, hopefully, www.steelscase.org. You can find out his story and more information. And you might have to click to coming events to find out the exact location of his court case, but you can also go into our previous headlines. Just click for more stories on our headlines at cannabisculture.com, and I've also put his story up there, and I've embedded the link there to that page. So hopefully, hope you're doing well, Steele, and we'll
Another freedom fighter.
Yeah, we'll
Keep up the good fight, buddy. It's unbelievable.
everybody check out his website, and with any luck we'll have a phone interview with him next week. All right, thanks everyone, thanks for watching.
Thanks, Marius.
Hey, no worries.
Nice. All right. So now we can play my interview with Dan Werb of the International Center for Science and Drug Policy and the Stop the Violence BC group. He was acting under both, I guess, today when he talked to me in this interview. But we talked about Bill C-10 and what's going on. It's going to pass in a few days, probably on Monday or Tuesday.
I can't believe that.
I know, it's
How
crazy.
many rallies do we have for that one?
I have so many. It's been a long time because
How long has
started,
that bill been going? Yeah.
Well, it's been before C10.
I was just gonna say it was disguised.
Right. There was S10, I believe, before. Remember that?
I'm getting confused.
And there was C15.
Already. Yeah.
There was C26, or was it 36? I'm all getting.
They should
confused
just call
now,
it the "you
too.
get screwed" bill or "go to jail" bill or something. Why don't they call it
the mandatory minimum?
What are these weird names?
The non-violent cannabis
Yeah.
offenders go to
5-year
go to
minimum
prison
bill, or prison buddies bill.
Prison
owner's bill. That's the prison owner's bill.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the cha-ching
Getting paid,
bill.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Oh, this crazy butter joint is still going.
Oh, is that what it is? Amazing.
Yeah, it's butter. Oh man, we're really ripped. All right, so you want to play it?
We're good to go.
All right, so check this out, guys. It's 20 minutes long. It's a cool interview. I just did it this afternoon, right before the show. He wanted to come on the show, but unfortunately just wasn't able to do it between 4 and 5. So we just decided to record it early, and I just slapped it on a little CCN live background because I didn't have time for anything else. But yeah, it's an audio interview for the rest, I guess. So check this out. Enjoy. I'm here with Dan Werb, the International Center for Science and Drug Policy's research coordinator and a member and co-author of studies with Stop the Violence BC. Dan, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks a lot for being here. Dan, you and I both know that next week the Conservative Government of Canada is poised to pass their very egregious legislation, Bill C-10, the Safe Streets and Communities Act. And I wanted to talk with you about why that bill is so bad. Can you explain what it is that makes it such a harsh bill?
Sure. So, in some ways, this bill is, the impact of this bill is actually simpler to predict than a lot of others, because we've seen what the kinds of policy changes that Bill C-10 is suggesting, such as mandatory minimum sentencing. We've seen what they've done in places like the United States. So in the United States, mandatory minimum sentencing for drug crimes has been passed in a number of states, including New York and Texas and a whole host of other states. And they've been in place for a couple decades now, and in some cases quite a lot longer. And what is happening now is there has been a record number of people incarcerated for drug crimes in the United States. And this has skewed primarily towards the incarceration of ethnic minorities, such as African Americans. Currently, 1 in 9 African American males between the ages of 20 and 34 is in prison at any one time. And over 1 in 100 Americans is actually in prison, and the vast majority of those are in prison because of drug crimes. Now, if that made any kind of a difference to how much people use drugs, or how much how large the supply of drugs was, then maybe there would be some kind of argument, as draconian as it is, to suggest that mandatory minimum sentencing for drug crimes has an effect. But what we've seen is that despite this massive increase in the incarceration of people for drug crimes, there has been essentially no significant changes in the levels of use of cannabis, of heroin, of cocaine. And at the same time, we've seen that the price of cannabis, in particular, and in fact of heroin and cocaine, the prices of all these drugs over the last 20 years has gone down, and the purity, and in the case of cannabis, the potency of THC has actually increased. At the same time, young people say that cannabis is more widely available to them than than tobacco or alcohol. Now, when you have these three indicators, so price going down, purity and potency going up, and wide availability, what that suggests is that, in fact, quite the opposite from reducing the supply of drugs. The supply of drugs has actually increased. It's increased so much that we're getting pure and purer drugs on the street. In the case of Canada, there's no reason to suggest that the experience here will be any different. And in fact, it's quite striking and puzzling that Canada would be implementing a bill like Bill C-10 with its mandatory minimum sentencing guidelines, because in the States, everything is moving in the opposite direction. There's, I think, about 20 states that have thrown out their mandatory minimum sentencing guidelines or are in the process of dismantling them because they've seen what a complete and utter failure they've been. And not only a failure, but a social disaster.
Right. Now, you mentioned a few things there. You mentioned that, of course, these mandatory minimum policies have a sort of racist edge to them. They target minorities. And you did mention, of course, the large expenses involved in something like this. Or you were talking about the expense of drugs on the street, but there are large expenses involved in the legislation itself and putting something like this through. Can you?
And one of the shocking things about this legislation in Canada is that the Conservative government is refusing to even release much of what they think it's going to cost. You know, the estimates always increase when things are implemented, when such massive changes like the one that Bill C-10 wants to want to implement. But we don't even know what the base cost is estimated to be, and frankly, it's going to cost, I think, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, by the time it's all tallied up.
Right. Now, you also mentioned that this legislation may have the opposite effect. It actually makes drugs easier to get, and of course, in the research, I've read that it will make the streets actually less safe because, you know, it puts the economy into the hands of organized crime.
Exactly, and that's where Stop the Violence BC comes in, because, you know, we've looked at the data, and frankly, there's nothing to suggest that the cannabis industry in and of itself creates criminality or fosters violence. The thing that makes it, and you know, to this day, it's unfair to characterize the entire cannabis industry as somehow a huge violent enterprise. But we know from data that the RCMP has been collecting and from media reports that organized crime is deeply, deeply involved in the cannabis industry. And in fact, the cannabis industry is one of the major, if not the major source of finances for organized crime in BC. And this isn't a product of the cannabis industry in and of itself. This is a product of the criminalization of the cannabis industry. What happens when you've got an industry that is prohibited in name only is you're essentially, but you can't control it, is you're creating a playground for organized crime. And the way that organized crime deals with conflict, the way that organized crime is going to increase its market share through violence, and that's what we've seen across BC. And in fact, you know, we can compare our little mini gang war and the gang violence that we've seen in BC with that in Mexico, where you know, it's essentially the same situation except blown to its absolute maximum proportion, where a war on drugs was implemented in 2006 to destroy the cartels in Mexico. And since then, 60,000 Mexicans have been killed in drug-related violence. And now murder is the #1 cause of death for Mexican young people, which is an absolute travesty. And to think that this prohibitive stance, that doubling down on enforcement, on deterrence, and on interdiction is somehow going to affect you know, the use and supply of drugs is absolute lunacy.
Right. I mean, the science is there. We've had Senate reports in the past here in Canada. We've had, you know, other official reports that have really looked at this, and they just time and again show the same thing. That
exactly. I mean, it's the kind of thing that you don't even have to, you know, run the statistics on. All you have to do is look at the data that the U.S. government is collecting and the Canadian government, which just shows, you know, over the last 20 years, the price of cannabis, the price of heroin, the price of cocaine have all decreased. while the potency of cannabis and the purity of heroin and cocaine have increased, and increased quite dramatically. And you look at that data, and you can see it's evident that this so-called prohibition on drugs is actually just a complete deregulation of the illicit drug market. It's not really prohibiting anything, because we all know that drugs are widely available everywhere. If it was truly prohibiting it, then drugs wouldn't be available. But what we've got instead is not a prohibition, but in fact quite the opposite. We just have a completely deregulated market where gangsters can kill and do whatever they need to do with impunity to keep their market share.
Into the Wild West of drugs, basically.
Exactly.
Now, Dan, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned Stop the Violence BC and some of the successes you guys are having there, or I wanted to talk about those successes because you've been able to acquire some endorsements from some pretty big names, some important people. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So Stop the Violence BC, as I mentioned, was really born out of the fact that there's this ongoing gang violence in BC, and it's really linked to the fact that the cannabis trade, which is a huge cash cow for organized crime in BC, continues to be illegal. And it's really the illegality of the trade that allows this violence to continue. And so, our goal is essentially, it's a large public education project where we want to change the terms of the debate. The debate is not about, drugs are bad for you, drugs are good for you. The debate is essentially saying, look, we've got enough data at this point to show that our current system is not working. And more problematically, that the current system of cannabis prohibition is contributing to higher levels of homicides and gang-related violence. And that message really resonates with British Columbians. And I think, one of the things that we did early on was we did some polling of the attitudes of British Columbians. And you know what? People are really, really well informed, not only in BC, but across Canada, about the fact that not only has prohibition failed, but that there are clear links between prohibiting something and not being able to control it and the violence that could ensue by groups who are trying to control the trade in that substance. So it's actually been, a pretty, if you want to call it a pretty easy sell, because it's something like only 12% of British Columbians polled said that they didn't want, that they were satisfied with our current drug laws, which means that 88% of British Columbians weren't satisfied with our drug laws. And when you start from such a strong, when you've got such strong support from the general public, it's really easy to get people on side, especially when, everyone can see the reality of the situation, like you said.
Right. Now, the general public is one thing, but some of the people who have come forward recently, the former mayors of Vancouver, former attorneys generals of Vancouver, or of British Columbia, if that is, they've all come forward and endorsed your group. How have you guys gone about acquiring those endorsements?
Well, we're at a very interesting time when it comes to drug policy, because we're really emerging from a time when politicians and policymakers would say one thing in private, which is that they understood that the war on drugs was a total failure, but that they wouldn't be willing to say these things in public. But internationally, what we've seen is a real change in that sense, because we've got people internationally like the former presidents of Brazil and Colombia and Mexico, Kofi Annan, the former UN Secretary General, businessmen like Richard Branson, all coming forward and saying, you know what, this is a disaster. And they have the courage to say it in public. And, those initial steps have made it easier for policymakers and politicians to come out and say, you know what, I'm not going to look like a crazy person if I speak truth to power. And really, people understand that the war on drugs has failed. It's not something that we have to explain to people anymore. I think generally that support for our current drug laws is at an all-time low. So it's sort of a natural fit. And really, this whole project grew out of a public health initiative. And it's scientific experts, it's clinicians, it's doctors, it's the Health Officers Council of BC that are driving this. And that kind of pedigree from people who are really, they see the impact of the drug laws firsthand. Evan Wood, one of the coalition's directors, he got engaged when he was working in the emergency room at St. Paul's Hospital in downtown Vancouver and would see gunshot victims of, victims of drug crime. And, you see that kind of thing, and it's going to have an effect. And I think British Columbians and Canadians more generally, and really, people across North America and Europe have been exposed long enough to these drug laws, and we know their effect.
Right, so the climate is definitely changing. And I mean,
the climate is changing, exactly. And, it's the kind of thing that snowballs also, right? So you get an endorsement from one person, and they refer you to someone else, and every single person coming out and saying that they recognize that cannabis laws in Canada have failed makes it that much easier for the next person.
That's right. And I mean, we saw an immediate reaction after the 4 former mayors came out. The current mayor, Gregor, came out and said the same thing and finally really sort of put his voice behind that. So I congratulate you guys on your great success there. I wanted to ask you why Stop the Violence felt they should focus on British Columbia rather than being something more like, say, a federal organization or in other provinces. Are there plans to expand?
Yeah, so, it just happens that we're all based in BC, and BC is obviously the largest, has the largest cannabis industry in Canada, and we've also got this horrific gang violence that's occurring because of organized crime involved in the cannabis trade. So the links are really clear there, and, BC has really been quite progressive on a whole host of fronts in terms of drug policy reform, like the implementation of inside the supervised injection site. And in a way, I think that the climate for experimentation is a little bit better in BC. And part of that is because we're so affected by drugs and the drug industry, and things like the cannabis industry. That being said, really there are no partners in terms of drug policy reform in the current federal government. They are absolutely ideologically opposed to evidence-based drug policy, and that is just the reality of the situation. So it would be a waste of energy to focus this campaign on a federal strategy. However, the success that we've had in BC has definitely allowed for this conversation to go national. And I was at a conference just over the weekend for the Canadian Students for Sensible Drug Policy, and there was a lot of interest in replicating what we've done in BC and other provinces. So hopefully we will see this as sort of like a grassroots, provincial level effort in a whole number of settings across Canada that can then put pressure federally on the government.
Very cool. Dan, you said you were a co-author on some of the reports at Stop the Violence BC. Can you tell us about the reports that you were a co-author on? And you also mentioned a future report as well.
Yeah, so the main report that I was a co-author on was the latest report by Stop the Violence BC, which really outlines the failure of cannabis prohibition in BC, in Canada, and across North America. And the main point of that was essentially to showcase how, in the face of increasing levels of gang violence, the argument underpinning a tough-on-crime, war-on-drugs approach to cannabis has really failed and led to higher levels of cannabis potency, lower prices, and just has had no effect on levels of use or the availability of cannabis, particularly among young people. And we have a report upcoming that is not yet published, but will be published in the next few months, which essentially estimates what the value of the domestic British Columbian cannabis industry would be. So not the export market for cannabis from BC, but essentially suggests, if policymakers wanted to go ahead and regulate and tax local retail sales on cannabis. So, among British Columbians, what would that look like? How much would that generate in revenue? And we do that by trying to estimate what the size of the domestic market is for cannabis in BC.
Wow, sounds interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a stepping stone again for policymakers to take things to the next level.
Dan, you're also a researcher or research coordinator at the International Center for Science and Drug Policy. Can you tell us about that organization and what you guys do there?
Yeah, so the International Center for Science and Drug Policy is a network of experts in drug policy from across the world. So we've got membership. I think our membership now counts about 200 MDs, PhDs, and legal experts in drug policy and related fields. And it was created to address the fact that when scientists have come out in favor of evidence-based drug policies like the supervised injection site in Vancouver or harm reduction in general, needle exchange programs, things like that, they've been pilloried by the media in a lot of cases and by government. So what we felt we needed to do was create an organization that addressed the fact that within the scientific community there is consensus about how effective a harm reduction approach and an evidence-based approach to drug policy really is. And we wanted to create an organization that could essentially demonstrate how strong this consensus is. So the work that we do is generally overviews of specific issues on drug policy, like the association between prohibition and violence, or the effectiveness of global efforts to control the supply of drugs. And we essentially create these reports, and they're quite wide-ranging and international in scope, and we use the power of organization to leverage them and to get people, noticing.
Awesome, man. Now, if people want to find out more information about that group, you guys have a website?
Yeah, that group is at icsdp.org, so icsdp.org. And if you want more information on the Stop the Violence BC Coalition, it's at stoptheviolencebc.org.
All right, Dan Werb, thank you very much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it, and I'd love to have you back again soon, maybe when the new report drops.
That sounds great, Jeremiah. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, thanks a lot, Dan. Appreciate it. Nice. Chocolate. Sorry about that, the little black screen issue. Echo. This stuff is crazy. There's no way really to describe it if you can't smell it other than just pure chocolate. Hey, there he is, Eric the Suit. Eric, how are you?
Good.
And we're filming live right now. You want to come and sit down for a second?
Oh, sure, why not?
Marius was just about to sit down, but you just can slide right in front of him.
They all know who I am.
Yeah.
Working hard behind the scenes.
Eric, how you doing, man?
Good.
Smell this and tell me. This is called Chocolope, but just take a little sniff of this.
I know where you got this. It's almost like incense. It's so strong. Right?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Look at all this stuff that Medmark was kind enough to leave with us here. Infused popcorn. We got a bunch of baggies, cookies. You want a blueberry bran cookie?
Bran is a very viable source of fiber, but not for me. No thanks.
All right.
He is a generous man.
He is. Yeah, this stuff is nice. All right, and yeah, is it what's going on over there, Marius? Is everything okay?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Everything's hunky dory.
Good.
That's
I have a bong rip here that I was going to take. Would you like to take it, Eric?
Wow, on camera. Yeah, I could do that.
You could hit this thing. It's got some butter in it. I don't know how down you are with the butter, but
Gee, I'll have to down the butter and see how
you're
I
going to
feel
have to down
afterwards.
it. This is Princess. She's a big
been a
girl,
while.
but she's worth it.
This is Mark's bong, isn't it?
No, it's my bong.
Oh, wow.
It's very similar to an old one that Mark did have, or that I think Jody had with the blue top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a good show today. Shooting it down here on these loungy chairs. Yeah, things are a little bit different because the construction upstairs. But this is where we used to film the show when we first started doing it, actually. It was just over here on my desk.
It's a nice set. It's a nice set. There's
It's got
traffic.
lots of
by here.
old issues of cannabis culture hanging on the walls. Nice.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Boom. So what's going on with you, man? Anything cannabis related you have to talk to the audience about, or maybe not cannabis related?
Kurt Toussaint posted today on Facebook that marijuana is being controlled by lobbyists.
Oh.
So, I'm going to enter that field.
Oh, really?
You didn't see that article?
No, I didn't see this.
Money in the U.S. is going to lobbyists.
Right.
So that's what's keeping pot illegal. So I think I'm going to enter that field.
And work it the other way.
It's true. Be the lobbyist.
Yeah. Interesting, interesting. That was good stuff, huh? I don't know what that was actually. MedMart grinded out a bunch in the grinder. But anyways, I guess this is it for the show. What time is it right now? We went a little over this time.
Oh, just a little bit. It's 5 to 6.
5 to 6. Wow, 2-hour show today.
2 hours.
Blockbuster show. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in today. And thanks to all of my guests who were there. You guys know who they were. And thanks to Marius for juggling everything in the background here. And thank you, Eric, for taking a bong rip with us.
Thank you for letting me stop by.
And thanks to everybody out there in the chat. I always feel regretful that I don't talk to you guys more in the chat on the Friday show. But we're always just jumping from topic to topic so fast.
Sometimes we have an extra person, sometimes we don't. Like, we do our best.
Exactly. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys, and we'll be back again next week. And I guess that's it. Mars, you going to take us out?
Yeah.
All right. Peace, guys. See you next week.